The following is a live copyrighted presentation. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time now for RadioLawTalk.com with your host, Frederick Penny, attorney at law. And now, RadioLawTalk.com.
Welcome back to Hour 2 of Radio Law Talk. I'm your host, Frederick Penny, with Denise Dirks and Todd Cunin. Behind the glass, we've got our producer, Cal Hunter, and Seth Madden, the call screener. Call us at 855-LAW-RADIO or tweet us at Radio Law Talk. You know, I was down at another station the other day because I was shooting a commercial, and it's kind of funny because the guys producing the commercial, they bring me in, and you can just tell, you know, they're like, okay, here's a lawyer coming in to do a commercial. They're just like, okay, look, we've got an hour. They set like a half hour, an hour aside, you know, to do this thing. It's like one take. No, I think we did 1.5 takes. They're going, wow, that's good. And then the other guy walks in and goes, he's a radio show host. He can handle it. And he goes, oh, you are? He goes, man, I was wondering why you just nailed it the first time. I said, that was easy, man. It's just blah, 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 done. And it is the funniest commercial. I'm telling you, Cal, I sent you the commercial, but you haven't loaded it yet. I want to.
We've played it twice. This is the one where you just relax afterwards.
Oh, did you already play it?
Yeah, we're using it in our rotation.
Oh, yeah. Can you play it right now?
Frederick Penny of Penny & Associates Injury Lawyers. I bet you're tired of hearing lawyer commercials. So just relax and listen to music for a few seconds.
Sounds like some of the stuff I use for bumpers, right?
When you or a family member has been injured, call 800-616-4LAW or see us at PennyandAssociates.com. See, that wasn't so bad.
That's a pretty good commercial.
That's a good
commercial. Think it's something
different.
You're tired of the same old lawyer commercials, you know. So I just shot that commercial.
I'd love to see a commercial with the background music. You know the Enya music, which is la 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 la. You know, it's all that stuff that's for Enya the star. I would love to see something like that where somebody does that sort of a genre, but in the background they're saying things like, if you're hurt in an accident.
There you go, Todd. That's it.
If you've been arrested unconstitutionally.
Or if you have a question about a lawsuit in Sacramento County like our caller does on the telephone.
Uh-oh. It's not involving any of us, is it?
I hope not yet, but we know of.
Oh, okay.
Caller, go ahead. You're with us now on Radio Law Talk.
I have an ex-employee that got a lawyer and sued me personally, said that my business wasn't legitimate or something. But sued me personally in Sacramento County and said he was hired in Sacramento County, but he was hired in Placer County, which is where my business is. So does Sacramento County have jurisdiction over that, or do I file that it should be in Placer County?
Boy, I tell you, what's your name again? You can use a fake name. Use a fake name. Use a fake name.
His name is Ed.
Ed. Okay, I'm just going to use Ed. So, Ed, first of all, none of us, that to your knowledge, are representing you or representing the other party. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. So, you know what the best part about this is we love your call, but the expert in this area is guess who?
Chris Rodriguez,
who is gone.
I can answer this, though.
But Denise knows a little bit about it.
I
Denise.
do. Well, I know jurisdiction and venue. So where do you live?
I live in Placer County. He was hired in Placer County. My business is in Placer County.
Okay. It sounds and does he live in Sacramento County?
He lives in Sacramento County, and his lawyer is also in Sacramento County.
Okay, well, to me, the jurisdiction is usually, or the place where it should be brought, is where the defendant resides, where the contract was entered into, or where the injury occurred. So it sounds to me like you've got a valid reason to challenge Sacramento court.
I mean, is it worth that, or is it worth just fighting?
Where's your attorney?
You know. I don't have an attorney yet.
Well, then you better get an attorney and ask him that question, because that's a very, very important decision to make. Traveling to and from Sacramento court may be onerous for you, and being in Placer County and being a Placer County business, you might want to be in the county of your choice.
Just generally, it's an ex-employee suing you, claiming they were just what? They were just...
Is this a termination suit, an injury suit? Do we know what the general premise of the lawsuit is?
Well, he's saying that there's all kinds of stuff. He's saying that he didn't get his breaks even though he was a field supervisor working by himself.
Got it.
He was responsible for his own breaks.
Got it.
He's
Got
saying
it.
That he worked too many hours and.
So it's a wage an hour
Didn't
action,
show up to work.
basically. Yeah.
Clearly, that is Chris Rodriguez. He does employment law, and they represent businesses. That's what he does. And we're not here to plug all of our co-hosts, but that's his.
Rodriguez is gone again.
Of course, he's gone again. Yeah, he's actually working like crazy. He's been in Oregon. He's all over the place, but he's a very well respected employment lawyer that defends employers.
Ed, I have a question for you here. This person who is suing you, the former employee, are they represented by counsel, or did they file the lawsuit on their own?
No, they're represented by counsel.
They have. He has an attorney that takes it by if he wins. So he's
contingent.
Filed a suit greater than $25,000, and et cetera.
Right.
Because typically on wage and hour claims, things like this, the claim oftentimes has to originate with the Department of Labor Standards Enforcement, with the Labor Commissioner. And then before they can sue you in state court, they have to get from the DLSC what's called a right to sue letter. Now, back in the day, it used to be after a full-blown investigation by them, and then they would go to the individual and say, okay, we've reached what we can do, but you can go ahead and sue if you want. Now, oftentimes they will issue the right to sue letter the same day that it's filed if the individual goes to the Labor Commissioner and says, hey, I just want to handle this privately and not regularly. The question I have is, as part of the business, even though your business is located in Placer County, you're in Placer County, he was hired, did the business ever require him to go to Sacramento County as part of his daily anything that he had to do during the day? You mentioned he was a field supervisor. Was he ever required to do any work in Sacramento?
In all counties.
Okay, so
he worked in
everywhere.
So
Yolo County and Solano County, and
so if he was doing work in Sacramento County as part of a field supervisor, even though your business is in Placer County, that may have given jurisdiction to another county because that's where he'd worked. It sounds like the difference here is between whether or not there's a jurisdictional issue versus an issue on the merits of the case. And I think that you're looking at having to.
I think there's all the issues because if the plaintiff did not exhaust their administrative remedies, that could be a defense. Then if it's the wrong venue that he brought the case in, that can also be challenged. So you really do need to get an attorney. And Fred needs to tell you something. It's
There's
pretty
something important too, Ed. I'm writing it down as I'm showing Denise. You check with your insurance. Sometimes your insurance may cover you for this type of thing. A lot of your general liability business insurances, sometimes they'll have it in there as a coverage. So maybe you're going to be covered under your insurance policy. Have you checked your insurance policy?
I haven't. I will check on that. He lost, and he first filed an EDD claim, and he lost. And
Gotcha.
His lawyer was part of that, but he didn't file a labor suit. He just filed an EDD claim.
Yeah.
Employment Development Department of Labor, for those of you listening in other states other than California.
First thing, your first and most important step is to go to your insurance company and see if they cover you, because if they do, they have to hire a lawyer for you.
And your second most important step is don't let that 30 days run from the time you were served. You need to get your attorney, and you need to get somebody quickly, and you need to do something if you want to challenge jurisdiction.
Hey, Ed, thanks for the call, buddy. We appreciate it. We're going to be right back on Radio Law Talk, but before we take off, we're not pushing Rodriguez. There are other lawyers out there that also do employment defense.
In Placer County, there's really a bunch of good ones.
Yeah, Placer, there's Sac County, there's a whole bunch. But Chris Rodriguez is, hey, he's a Harvard guy. What do you expect, right? All right, Cal, take us out of this segment, all right?
I mean, Chris is the man, but of course, where is he?
He's never here.
I mean, the time we need him is completely.
Dang, Rodriguez. We need you here this time. He could have opined for an hour, and he's probably sleeping.
I'm deducting 5 points from his case or no case. He wasn't here.
Thanks, Ed, for calling.
Yeah, we appreciate it. We'll be back with more Radio Law Talk on RadioLawTalk.com and on your favorite radio station, so stick around.
All advertising for legal services on Radio Law Talk are for California legal services only.
The cost of getting rid of garbage is high, and recycling products is lucrative. If you're a business or know of a business that needs an individual compactor or baler, call Northwest Compacting at 888-201-0911. If you already have an industrial compactor, baler, or shredder and need service, don't forget to call Northwest Compacting at 888-201-0911. Northwest Compacting, your full-service industrial compacting and baling company. Read more about them at northwestcompacting.com.
Business needs growth to survive, and Accelerate You is in the business of growing your business. Accelerate You gets it. They have sales professionals, real top talent teams. Accelerate You has venture capitalists, and Accelerate You has strategic partners who roll up their sleeves and help you grow your business. It's what they do. They help people in business just like you. In fact, last year, Accelerate You launched 30 successful go-to markets for startup companies. With success like that, you can see why Accelerate You is able to only work with a select group of companies, perhaps yours. If you want to increase revenue for your business, call 916-BETTER-0. That's 916-237-7370. 916-BETTER-0. Come on, grab the phone. Make the call. Accelerate You. 916-BETTER-0. Again, call 916-BETTER-0 for Accelerate You.
My name is Frederick Penny of Penny & Associates Injury Lawyers. I've assembled an excellent team of highly experienced personal injury trial lawyers. We understand the other side, which gives us a distinct advantage over our competition. At Penny & Associates, we will aggressively represent you and your family when someone has been injured in an accident. Remember, we don't get paid unless we win.
For a free initial consultation, go to pennylawyers.com or call 1-800-616-4LAW and ask for Frederick, Stuart, Rob, Kevin, Kent, or Will. That's Frederick Penny at Penny & Associates Injury Lawyers, 1-800-616-4LAW.
This is Denise Dirks. We can represent clients in divorce, legal separation, child and spousal support, custody, termination of parental rights, step-parent adoptions, guardianships, and even conservatorship matters. Call 1-877-886-7186 for a consultation.
The law offices of Denise L. Dirks provide family law services in Northern California. When the law affects your family, call 877-886-7186. The family of attorneys at Denise L. Dirks is here to help.
Business needs growth to survive, and Accelerate You is in the business of growing your business. Accelerate You gets it. They have sales professionals, real top talent teams. Accelerate You has venture capitalists, and Accelerate You has strategic partners who roll up their sleeves and help you grow your business. It's what they do. They help people in business just like you. In fact, last year, Accelerate You launched 30 successful go-to markets for startup companies. With success like that, you can see why Accelerate You is able to only work with a select group of companies, perhaps yours. If you want to increase revenue for your business, call 916-BETTER-0. That's 916-237-7370. 916-BETTER-0. Come on, grab the phone. Make the call. Accelerate You. 916-BETTER-0. Again, call 916-BETTER-0 for Accelerate You.
Eva Marie smoked 12,000 packs of cigarettes over 15 years. She quit, and now there's a new lung cancer screening that could save her life. You stopped smoking. Now start screening. No matter how much you've smoked, early detection could save you. Talk to your doctor or learn more at savedbythescan.org.
You're listening to RadioLawTalk.com. And now back to your host, Frederick Penny.
So we've got Carlos Ramirez, who is a safety director for actually Solar City at the time, and Tesla in 2016, I believe, bought Solar City.
Yes.
And he is a safety director, and he transferred over to Tesla, and apparently he's alleged that he was fired for raising concerns, in other words, being a whistleblower, about workplace safety conditions. And this is Business Insiders talking about this, and other people are talking about this. But this former employee is claiming that he became aware of chemical fires, improperly placed parts, failures, that they're failing to comply with permit issues.
repetitive stress injuries.
Yeah, people aren't getting
chemical exposures,
proper medical treatment. They're not getting proper medical treatment, and he's alleging all these things, and then they're claiming he's fired over false accusations of bullying. So now, usually you have employers say, "Well, we're not going to comment right now. This is litigation pending, and this lawsuit has been filed." But man alive, is Tesla's popping back. They're saying that that he, quote, and this is from Tesla, nearly a dozen different employees have stated that he engaged in clear bullying, sought to intimidate his colleagues, and repeatedly made inappropriate comments about women. And that's what the representative is saying. So what's interesting is, and he harassed individuals. So, usually what's kind of weird about this, the reason I'm bringing this up now is the minute an employee files a lawsuit, a lot of times the employer's not saying much. They're just saying, we're not going to talk right now about it. But that's what's going on. So Tesla, and by the way,
and there's another lawsuit against Tesla, isn't that correct? From another employee?
I'm sure there's a number of them.
About the pro-union flyers that he was trying to...
No, I didn't hear about that.
Yeah, he was trying to hand out pro-union flyers, and then he was asked to leave the factory.
That's
where
right.
He worked.
And that's more of a National Labor Relations Board complaint. So my guess is that there was a union. Some employees probably went and talked to a union, and then the way unions do things is they talk to the employee that comes forward saying, all right, well, gauge interest, pass us around, we'll see if we want to come in and have an election. Well, all of that's protected activity under the National Labor Relations Act of 1937. And so as protected activity, the employer, if you're an employer out there and this happens, there's an acronym called TIPS, T-I-P-S. And these are the things that employers are not supposed to do. You're not supposed to threaten, interrogate, promise, or surveil.
Excellent.
Okay? Any of those things. TIPS. Threaten, interrogate, promise, or surveil. You're not supposed to threaten the folks. Hey, if you come out here again, I'll fire you. Interrogate. What are you guys doing? Come on. Are you guys trying to unionize? Promise. Look. If you guys get the union out of here, I'm going to give you all a $5 an hour raise. Surveil. I'm putting a video camera up to see who's talking where and when. So because those are the hallmark things that you can really get in trouble in with the National Labor Relations Board.
Got it.
And so what they're saying here, what this guy is saying is, when I was passing this stuff around, they fired me, told me I couldn't be on the property, which may or may not be a violation of law, but I can tell you that the National Labor Relations Board is pretty aggressive. They will file and then just let this thing go ahead and work out in an administrative hearing. Cal.
A couple of quick points here. And first, UAW has been trying to get into Tesla ever since they opened. They were in the NUMMI plant before they're in that same physical facility, and they believe that they belong there. Another point, NLRB can protect the people handing stuff out, but if the company says you got to do it outside,
right,
then they can do that. But he can't be doing it inside the premises, and I think that's where the tangle came up on this.
That's what's happening here is that might be the defense,
right?
But the policy is not an insulation against the complaint being filed. You're going to find yourself in litigation trying to justify it.
But you want to know what the most important thing is? It's not going, all of these layoffs, all of these problems with the employees is not going to impact the car production, and they will be on time with their Model 3.
Wow. I tell you right now, here's a company that's doing well. Hey, an interesting thing that I didn't get to, though, the Center for Investigative Reporting published in April an investigative report that Tesla had this is what they're claiming, had misreported workplace injuries, failed to take some safety measures, and the California Occupational Safety Agency has logged over 40 violations from Tesla since 2013. Now, we don't get political again, but I just want that to be understood, and this is maybe why this person's saying, well, wait a minute, here, I've got evidence and proof that this is happening. Mm-hmm. And right now they are investigating workplace conditions for Tesla right now, California Division of Occupational Safety and Health. Now, the reason I want to get to this is, let me tell you, and there's reality, there's so many big companies like Tesla. Think of all the employees, every single little machine they've got. To have 40 violations since 2013, well, they're doing pretty dang good, in my opinion. I mean, not that this is not, but that is, the 40 is not very many. You think, oh my gosh, there's 40 violations. Think of how the size of the companies and how And that's just not unusual.
Are you familiar with the term the armchair quarterback?
Yes, we sure are.
So armchair quarterback, for those of you that aren't familiar with it, are, when it's somebody who comes in after the fact and says, well, you should have done this, you should have done this. They call it the Monday morning quarterback, where the guy on Monday is talking about the game that happened the day before. Well, the Niners should have done this and this and this. In my opinion, OSHA, Occupational Safety and Health Administration, is the ultimate armchair quarterback when it comes to workplace safety, because they come in after the fact and say, well, if this had happened, then this accident wouldn't have happened. If this had happened, then that wouldn't have happened. Hindsight's not always 20/20, but that's what happens after the fact. And get this. OSHA will come out and do a site inspection at your request to tell you where you need to clean things up. And if OSHA comes out on Monday and inspects, and they only say, okay, you need to fix A, B, and C, everything else we thought was okay. And then on Tuesday, employee gets hurt with something that was not covered in the inspection they said was wrong, you cannot use the fact that I had a clean OSHA inspection the day before as a defense to say, well, if they didn't catch it, how was I supposed to catch it?
But on OSHA, like Cal OSHA, they do generally try to protect the employees and the workers, because you know what? That's why it's a balancing. That's why the United States, as imperfect as it is, it's a good balance. There might be a lot of dangerous things that people are doing in the workplace if it wasn't for Cal OSHA. So
I do agree with you.
They do some great things too.
Since 2013, only 40 violations for a company that big. That's pretty darn good.
That's good. We'll be back right after this.
Stay tuned. There's much more Radio Law Talk coming up on RadioLawTalk.com and on your favorite radio station. Don't go away. All advertising for legal services on Radio Law Talk are for California legal services only. Business needs growth to survive, and Accelerate You is in the business of growing your business. Accelerate You gets it. They have sales professionals, real top talent teams. Accelerate You has venture capitalists, and Accelerate You has strategic partners who roll up their sleeves and help you grow your business. It's what they do. They help people in business just like you. In fact, last year, Accelerate You launched 30 successful go-to markets for startup companies. With success like that, you can see why Accelerate You is able to only work with a select group of companies, perhaps yours. If you want to increase revenue for your business, call 916-BETTER-0. That's 916-237-7370. 916-BETTER-0. Come on, grab the phone. Make the call. Accelerate You. 916-BETTER-0. Again, call 916-BETTER-0 for Accelerate You.
This is Denise Dirks. We can represent clients in divorce, legal separation, child and spousal support, custody, termination of parental rights, step-parent adoptions, guardianships, and even conservatorship matters. Call 1-877-886-7186 for a consultation.
The law offices of Denise L. Dirks provide family law services in Northern California. When the law affects your family, call 877-886-7186. The family of attorneys at Denise L. Dirks is here to help.
Hi, I'm Frederick Penny of Penny & Associates Injury Lawyers. I bet you're tired of hearing lawyer commercials, so just relax and listen to music for a few seconds. When you or a family member has been injured, call 800-616-4LAW or see us at PennyandAssociates.com. See, that wasn't so bad.
Looking for a full day of fun for the family? You can't beat spending your day or evening at Golfland Sunsplash in Roseville, the premier family entertainment destination for all of Northern California. Pick from one of 2 adventure-themed 18-hole mini golf courses, then get challenged on our fast car racetrack. Don't miss Golfland's state-of-the-art laser tag arena, laser nights, and over 200 arcade games. The best in family entertainment, now at Golfland Sunsplash in Roseville. Golfland.com.
I've got to get my car washed. This dirt, it just won't do. But I don't have no time today. I don't know what I do.
Man, I know this place right down the road. Quick, quack, car wash. Hop inside, let's take a ride and watch this cat and shine. Just come and see, I guarantee your ride will steal the show. Come on, quick, quack, car wash. Don't drive that dirty car. quack, car wash. They'll have you looking sharp. Come on.
What makes great jerky? Jerky that's moist, tender, and perfectly seasoned. And if you're looking for moist, tender, flavorful jerky, don't look anywhere else but River City Jerky Works. Only the finest ingredients and top quality meats are used in the preparation of River City Jerky. Do yourself a favor and order your River City Jerky Works jerky by going to their website, rivercityjerkyworks.com. River City Jerky Works. One bite and you'll be hooked. Quite possibly the best jerky on the planet.
I've got to get my car washed. This dirt, it just won't do. But I don't have no time today. I don't know what I do.
Man, I know this place right down the road. Quack, car wash. Hop inside, let's take a ride and watch this cat and shine. Just come and see, I guarantee your ride will steal the show. Come on, quick, quack, car wash. Don't drive that dirty car. Quick, quack, car wash. They'll have you looking sharp. Come on.
All right, guys, we need to have you read some lines for our disclaimer promo, but first, can anybody tell me what a disclaimer is? All right, then. Well, Denise, you go ahead.
Non uti concilius me oriere proquestis purpurium juris consult.
Latin, that's a nice touch. Thank you, Denise. Next time we'll try it in English if that's okay. Fred, how about you?
Cal, I don't want to read all this. Can't we just tell the people that we're discussing general legal issues and they should hire their own attorney instead of relying on what we have to say here?
Well, we could, I guess. Chris?
I'm not going to be there anyway. Why have me do it?
Let's have Todd do it.
Me? Read disclaimers? Why, I couldn't. The information you hear on Radio Law Talk is general.
The preceding promo was for entertainment purposes only. And if you want true legal advice, contact your own lawyer. Just a tip from your friends at Radio Law Talk.
Be sure to read our disclaimers on radiolawtalk.com as well.
You're listening to RadioLawTalk.com. And now back to your host, Frederick Penny.
You know, it's interesting, these football players going through CTE. We've talked about the concussion, all the concussion litigation that's going on and concussion issues. But the wife of a former, according to Fox News, wife of former NFL quarterback, and the quarterback is Eric Kramer, filed for domestic violence. And apparently he was arrested.
He was.
For apparently threatening her. Apparently they got in an argument. He threw a knife, not the knives, but actual knife holders at her. Didn't hit her, but and was yelling and breaking things. And she felt threatened. Apparently he's had some real depression issues in the past. But the thing why are we bringing this? Why I want to talk about this is what happens, Denise and Todd, because this is kind of more your forte, is what happens when there's a threat of a spouse or significant other or an individual from somebody. I mean, what's the process? How do they protect themselves?
Well, when the police are called, if there's sufficient grounds, the police then are going to be asked to issue an emergency protective order. And they have to call into the judge. They have to tell what the statements are by the parties. And then a judge actually authorizes the issuance. That usually in California lasts 5 days, and it gives that victim, if you will, of domestic violence or of abuse, 5 days to get in and get more permanent orders to protect them. And in California, we have a domestic violence restraining order process known as CLAT system, which is for people that are related, either your spouse or somebody as a cohabitant, or you have a family relation. And we also have what's called a civil harassment order, which is when it's non-related parties. It could be like a neighbor, or it could be, somebody that they just know each other. So those are the ones. There's also criminal protective orders that issue, and Todd will talk about that specifically. But in this particular case, Courtney Baird is the wife. She is seeking a domestic violence restraining order to protect her and her daughter. and that order can issue up from 1 year to 2 years to 3 years to 4 years to 5 years. And if several times it has to be reissued, then sometimes it could be lifetime.
Yeah, and he was released on a $50,000 bond so long as he's cooperative during the arrest, and apparently he has been, but she's still scared.
Yeah, she's really scared because he just lost it. And when he is released on bond, what happens then?
So when he's released on bond, there's certain conditions. What'll happen? The district attorney is reviewing this case and will be reviewing it for purposes of charges. Let's take a step back. So somehow law enforcement gets involved. And most of the time it's because the alleged victim in a domestic violence situation picks up the phone and makes a call. Those calls are very persuasive from an evidentiary standpoint. It's very common for people later on to backtrack, to recant, to do whatever, but it's very persuasive in front of a jury when the terror can be heard in somebody's voice. I need the police out here now. He's going crazy. In the case of phone calls and stuff, 911 calls, we saw this in the Nicole Brown or O.J. Simpson case, previous calls of domestic violence. You could hear Simpson in the background yelling out the threats while the call was being made. So that's how law enforcement gets involved. Once they come out, I'm telling you, on a domestic violence case where they're called out, somebody's getting arrested. Okay? Sometimes cops can go out on something and, all right, everybody just kind of settle down, go your own way. They can mediate. They can do what. Not in a domestic violence case. The police get called, somebody is going into custody.
Well, not always, but usually. Because I do have situations where they come out and they mediate somebody leaving the home for the day.
Yes.
You know.
I think those are the exception to the rule. I would still say that if you were a betting person, you'd want to lay the money down that somebody's going to, especially if there were allegations that somebody was struck or hit.
That's correct.
And that's when your emergency protective order will come into play, when the officer especially makes a determination that an arrest should happen, and they'll ask the individual, should there be, do you want an emergency protective order? And the individual almost always, there are some instances, will almost always say, yes, I do want the emergency protective order. Now, if a person goes into custody, all right, and they stay in custody, the DA's got 48 hours to file a complaint. And when the complaint is filed in California, by law, a protective order has to attach to a domestic violence complaint. So there's always going to be that protection on the criminal side. But what happens?
And that's called a criminal protective order, correct?
What happens, though, in a case like this, where Kramer makes bond, which means the DA doesn't have to get a complaint filed within 48 hours. Now he's got a promise to appear to come back 3 to 4 weeks. What happens in that interim from him making bond to getting back? And that's where your civil protection order comes into play, to protect the individual while you're waiting for the DA to make up their mind on charges.
Even though it's a civil protection order, the domestic violence restraining order has criminal elements to it, because if you violate that order, even if it's in existence in temporary form only, then you are guilty of a crime.
That's right.
And you can be arrested on the spot for doing that. And each time you contact that person in violation, or you have a third person contact that person in violation of that order, that's a separate and distinct count, and you can be charged for each and every contact.
And this is something that I think people really need to understand, and that is, what protection does a criminal protective order, whether it's a civil or civil harassment or domestic violence, or one that's given in connection with a criminal case, what protection does it give you? And I think sometimes people get a false sense of security with that. A criminal protective order does not insulate you so that nothing bad can ever happen to you. A piece of paper will not do that. What it gives you, what it gives law enforcement, is the ability to take somebody into custody if they violate any of those terms. You still need to take measure. Lock your door, lock your windows, avoid contact with that individual, don't provoke that individual, because there will always be a gap in time between the violation, if there is one, of the criminal protective order and the time in which it takes law enforcement to get out to your house.
So if you want to talk about this or have any questions, call 855-LAW-RADIO or tweet us at Radio Law Talk. You know, back to Eric Kramer. He's the 1991 NFC Championship. He was in the NFC Championship, a well-known quarterback. And not to jump on his side, but here's the pressure. Think of, being a superstar at one time, and then your life kind of just goes down. I mean, not that it's a bad thing, but you're not in the limelight like you used to be. There are still some, the Michael Jordans, and they're still in the limelight. But these, life changes, and I think it's difficult for him. He's had depression problems. His poor son, died of a drug overdose. I mean, this guy has had, and
he tried to commit suicide and wasn't successful.
Right.
Himself. I for one don't always know who we're talking about, even though most
football people.
Yeah, know. But Kramer played for the Bears. He also played for the Atlanta Falcons and the San Diego Chargers, and he led the Lions to the NFC Championship game in 1991.
Yeah.
So this is a true big, huge star that is having some really serious problems, and hopefully
can get it worked out.
Yeah.
One of the things is we talk about CTE, which is the concussion syndrome that.
And he's claiming that's not a problem.
Yeah.
Well, he says it's not a problem, but they haven't perfected. Okay. The only way that they can really conclusively diagnose CTE right now is after somebody has died. They go and they look at their brain. They say, "Okay, we see this."
Right. During the time they can see it.
They have X-rays.
They still haven't perfected
MRI.
it to the point that they're able to tell with the same clarity that they are doing a postmortem.
True.
So here we've got athletes, for example, like Junior Seau. Shortly after he retired, he committed suicide, and they did the postmortem on him and found he had CTE. There was a professional wrestler who took his own life and the life of his family. He had CTE. We see this over and over
again.
What's
CTE again?
It's
concussion syndrome.
It's the concussion syndrome. It's what leads.
But isn't one of the major symptoms depression and aggression?
It is. It is. So he's saying he doesn't have it.
Yeah, but his ex-wife said that he was a really beautiful soul until he started playing with the Bears. And his depression started when he started playing with the Bears.
Chronic traumatic,
encephalitis.
ENCEP. I don't know. Enceropathy. I don't know. I don't know how to pronounce it.
And
I don't do that type of law.
His ex-wife said, "The person you see now is not the person I knew before."
That's right.
And so you have this. Clearly, he's got the decline in what's going on in his personal life. It's tragic, but he's now, with all of this, going to have to face domestic violence.
Now I'm gonna be made fun of because I can't say the E word. ENCEPH. Call us 855 Law Radio and tell us how to say it.
And I'm right with you.
I know it as CTE. So anyway, God, I feel bad. But let's come back after the break and we'll figure out how to talk.
Encephalopathy.
There you go. Good enough. Good enough. Come back.
We'll be back with more Radio Law Talk in just a little bit, right here on your favorite radio station and on RadioLawTalk.com. All advertising for legal services on Radio Law Talk are for California legal services only.
Jason Rosbach here with Fred Penny, managing attorney from Penny & Associates Injury Lawyers. Now, Fred, what type of cases are you dealing with now, and what sets you apart?
Jason, we help people with all types of personal injury cases. We're former insurance company trial lawyers. We understand the other side, which gives us a distinct advantage over our competition. Remember, we don't get paid unless we win.
That's Penny & Associates Injury Lawyers with locations throughout California. For a free consultation, go to pennylawyers.com or give them a call, 1-800-616-4LAW. That's PENNEY lawyers.com.
This is Denise Dirks. We can represent clients in divorce, legal separation, child and spousal support, custody, termination of parental rights, step-parent adoptions, guardianships, and even conservatorship matters. Call 1-877-886-7186 for a consultation.
The law offices of Denise L. Dirks provide family law services in Northern California. When the law affects your family, call 877-886-7186. The family of attorneys at Denise L. Dirks is here to help.
Hi, I'm Frederick Penny of Penny & Associates Injury Lawyers. I bet you're tired of hearing lawyer commercials, so just relax and listen to music for a few seconds. When you or a family member has been injured, call 800-616-4LAW or see us at pennyandassociates.com. See, that wasn't so bad.
What makes great jerky? Jerky that's moist, tender, and perfectly seasoned. And if you're looking for moist, tender, flavorful jerky, don't look anywhere else but River City Jerky Works. Only the finest ingredients and top quality meats are used in the preparation of River City Jerky. Do yourself a favor and order your River City Jerky Works jerky by going to their website, rivercityjerkyworks.com. River City Jerky Works. One bite and you'll be hooked. Quite possibly the best jerky on the planet. The following announcement brought to you by SacramentoLawyer.com. Finding the right lawyer for your particular needs can be confusing. With all the commercials and listings, and who's to say whether the lawyers there are even any good at what they do? So when you're looking for a lawyer, it makes sense to find someone local with the experience and expertise in that area of the law where you have a need. That's why there is SacramentoLawyer.com. SacramentoLawyer.com. At SacramentoLawyer.com, you just browse the site, free, and see the Facebook reviews on the firms you're considering with just a simple mouse click. That way you learn a little bit more about the lawyers there before you start making this critical decision. And there's no pressure. Use the right tool to find the lawyer that's best for you by going to SacramentoLawyer.com. SacramentoLawyer.com. That's SacramentoLawyer.com.
The cost of getting rid of garbage is high, and recycling products is lucrative. If you're a business or know of a business that needs an individual compactor or baler, call Northwest Compacting at 888-201-0911. If you already have an industrial compactor, baler, or shredder and need service, don't forget to call Northwest Compacting at 888-201-0911. Northwest Compacting, your full-service industrial compacting and baling company. Read more about them at northwestcompacting.com.
180 over 111, and I had a stroke.
45 over 92, and then I had a heart attack. 150 over 90, and I had a stroke.
This is what high blood pressure sounds like. You might not feel its symptoms, but the results from a heart attack or stroke are far from silent. Get back on your treatment plan or talk with your doctor to create a plan that works for you. Go to loweryourhbp.org.
Everything's changed.
Brought to you by the American Heart Association, American Medical Association, and the Ad Council.
Radio Law Talk. I like that show.
And now back to Radio Law Talk. Here's your host, Fred Penny. Fred?
Call us at 855-LAW-RADIO or tweet us at Radio Law Talk if you have any questions. The Parkland victims' family are suing for the school shooting. They want the suspect's record, the psych records from the suspect, which is not unusual, but they're trying to obtain the mental health records of the shooting suspect, Nicholas Cruz. Denise and I were talking during the break of, well, why would they want to do that? Well, I mean, again, we're speculating, and again, seek counsel. Don't listen to our speculation, even though we are.
Listen to it.
Yeah, listen to it.
Don't rely detrimentally.
Yeah. Even though we are super bright people,
Yes.
Even brighter than Rodriguez, that's not here, but. Look, I think it's pretty obvious. They want to see these records to see what's in them. If if he went to the school and said, you know what, I want to kill people. I've got issues. I have problems. Or I'm in love with a teacher. Or I have these big. I'm just telling you some general things. They want to see that and see if there's any information there that shows that the school had knowledge that this guy was going to do that. And if that's the case, then guess what? They're going to start suing the school.
And there's a whole lot of lawsuits, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Parkland fathers suing the school. You've got Parkland victims suing the gun makers.
Right.
And so there's a lot of different types of lawsuits. But the actual records that are being sought are from Henderson Behavioral Health.
Right.
And the issue there is, does Cruz have a right of privacy as to these records? And it's clear he does.
Yes and no. When you're being sued for doing a heinous crime like this, the judges are going to allow those to come out, but usually the question is, in what capacity? Do they take it in camera? In other words, will the judge a lot of times, I want to see the records to review them to see whether or not they're applicable.
But they're not going to be public.
Apply. Right. They not necessarily
They're
have to be public. That's exactly right. And a lot of times they'll put certain restraints on what can be discussed, or what they do what's called a redaction. So a lot of times I've seen it, you get these records and all of a sudden they're all blanked out. Half of them are blanked wiped out.
Now, the funny thing is, I'm not funny, this horrible topic, but if Cruz did not survive this, then he would no longer have the right of privacy as to these records, and they probably wouldn't be fighting over this.
Yeah, that's true. You know, one of the things to keep in mind is that when this incident, this tragedy happened, and shortly thereafter, the number of incidents of the times in which this guy had come onto the radar of law enforcement, and even the FBI ultimately says, yeah, we kind of dropped the ball because his name kept coming up in terms of, here's a threat here, here's a threat here. The family member calls and said, you need to take a look at this guy. And you sort of lost track of the number of times that came up. So I get this as sort of painting an overall picture. Is the mental health facility, as well as, I mean, is the mental health facility, for example, liable?
Maybe.
Because you have the doctor-patient privilege, but there are exceptions to that. If you think that somebody is eminently going to do harm,
right?
They've got a report that they have to make, and if that didn't happen, or if these records are being sought because they saw that a report was made, maybe a report was made by this facility.
And the police didn't act on it.
And the police didn't act on it. So now they want to go back and say, okay, now we need the records so that we can see what was the basis of the report, who reported to the police, and what happened, so they can build this overall picture.
So the liability could be by on the basis of the absence of there being a report, or it can be on the basis of there being a report and not being acted upon.
Now, just remember, a government or public entity can be liable for stuff like this. However, there are a lot more hurdles to go over, and I'm not going to get into the details. There's government codes, I think it's 835, Section 835, 836 in California. There's certain government codes that protect the government. It's a higher standard you have to meet in order to show that they're liable for things like this. But doesn't mean they can't be sued or they won't win. It's just they have to jump through a few more hoops.
While you're talking about whether or not he has an absolute protection because this is a medical record, one of the things that comes up where that privacy expectation may be diminished is if he himself has put his mental abilities in play as part of a defense to the criminal proceedings or as part of defense to the civil proceedings. If he, as part of whatever he is facing, has put this in play saying, well, I can't be held liable because I have a mental health. Oh, okay.
Which would be smart, by the way.
Well, now we ought to be able to flesh that out. You just don't get to say, I have a mental health issue, and you don't get to look at anything to see if that's true.
Right.
That doesn't work.
What you were talking about earlier that was really important, that if this mental health professional, if he said, I'm going to go take a gun and shoot up my school, then that mental health professional has a duty to the alleged victims or the ones that are potential victims, and they have to make a report and they have to do something to try to protect those victims. They have that extra duty, even against their client's privilege. And so that's called Tarasoff in California. There's a very famous case that's been around forever, and Tarasoff, we call it a Tarasoff warning, where the counselor has to actually go and warn the victims through some mechanism.
Well, we're going to follow this as time goes to see what happens. Like Denise said, there's multiple lawsuits going on with this, and it's going to be interesting to follow through with this thing. So, a lot more to talk about. So, Dr. Oz. Do any of you watch Dr. Oz? I mean, I don't know. I'm not an Oz. What? I mean, is he a doctor that goes on? Okay, is he the guy? Let me make sure. Is he like Oprah's friend, and then he came on a few times?
No, that's Dr. Phil.
Dr. Phil.
No,
okay.
but they're
all the same to me.
Oprah has spawned the careers of a couple of people. Dr. Phil was her go-to psychologist, and now he gets his own show. Dr. Oz was always the doctor that came on Oprah with all of the medical advice, then got so popular because of Oprah. I mean, we're talk about a person of influence. I had a brother-in-law who used to work for Barnes & Noble, and if Oprah's reading book club if some book was ever mentioned on the Oprah reading thing, that was the book they could no longer keep on the shelves.
Well, then guess what? Oprah, I'm going to officially tell you right now on Radio Law Talk live, all over the country, in, let's see, Dallas, in Texas, in California, in Nevada, in Minneapolis, Minnesota area, and in parts of California. Oprah, if you want us to be your official Radio Law Talk, you go ahead. We'll take care of you.
Absolutely.
We could do that.
I had a brother-in-law who has a publishing company. He got a book in like Oprah's little and had the victim of this. Her father was a murderer. Had this victim on the show. Man, it was a beautiful thing.
It flew off the
for
shelf
a little while. I mean, he made bank there for that little brief period of time.
Yeah, we're still. Well, you know what? I think the problem is we're still just trying to get Alexa to recognize the name Radio Law Talk. Have we got that figured out yet, Seth? He's answered no.
We want Jimmer Fredette to come on himself.
There you go,
We got his dad. We want Jimmer himself.
We can get that. We can do all that stuff. So anyway, Dr. Oz. Now, this is what's interesting to me because they're claiming he promoted something as a miracle pill on his show. Obviously, he didn't have the disclaimers that we have. So, but a $5.25 million settlement was reached by Dr. Oz, who promoted the Miracle Diet Supplement. This is Counsel Financial that we that wrote a little bit about this, but there's a lot of articles about this. But they talk about it. What's called is this associate counsel? Is what it's called. The source.
Where you can practice under the guise of the other person with them. Yeah, because this was a class action, and it did involve a lot of different persons.
Right. So anyway, so this is what Dr. Oz, they're claiming they made misrepresentation regarding the quality, effectiveness, and that he sponsored the weight loss supplements featured on the Dr. Oz show. Apparently, it was only 3 shows where he brings up and said, quote, it's a evolutionary fat buster. It's a miracle in a bottle. It's a magic weight loss cure. That's maybe stuff we can say on here to say, Cal Hunter. He's the.
But it wasn't limited to just.
He's evolutionary.
Or revolutionary.
Revolutionary.
I'm going to say evolutionary.
Yes. Yes. The pill started out as a monkey, and then.
No, I'm doing evolutionary.
I'm evolving backward to a monkey.
But it didn't stop it with just his show. He promoted it on his show, and then there were massive advertisements. I mean, I saw these.
They were their advertising
right, and
business.
It was Labreda, Garcina, I think is how you say it, Cambogia, Dual Action Fat Buster, and Labreda Green Coffee Bean Extract. And they were being sold together and saying that the combination of these two would work your metabolism and you would lose weight.
And here's the big difference. He's a doctor. So when he says this is the miracle cure, people do that. That's why
if we say it, no big deal.
No big deal. But if he says this is your legal stuff, nobody's going to listen to him. But if we said that, we would be liability. That's why we have our disclaimers.
You know what? My mom said it best. She said, Freddie, close your mouth. That's the best way to lose weight. We'll be right back after this. We'll see you at hour 3.
Maternal wisdom. Radio Law Talk will be back at 6 minutes after the hour.
You have been listening to RadioLawTalk.com, a copyrighted presentation of Radio Law Talk Incorporated.